Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Brainstorm Brewery. I'm joined, as always, by DJ and Jason, and I'm Corbin, and I want you guys to know that you can call me Professor Hostler from now on.
Is that, like...
What?
I'm going to speak to a college class tomorrow.
Oh, everyone who talks to a college class is a professor. Didn't you know that?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I'm going to be talking about esports tomorrow. I'm in demand. The colleges want me to come speak to the kids because I'm an industry professional. And I just thought that you all should know that and call me Professor Hostler from now on.
Hey, kids, I'm slightly more qualified than you are. Plus, I'm older and my reflexes are worse. Who has any questions for old Professor Hostler?
Anyway, so I'm very excited to go to a college and talk about esports and be an industry professional. Can you just think about it? Look at me and imagine me being an adult talking to 18-year-olds about career choices. Could you imagine anyone better to take advice from outside of like maybe DJ who quit school?
So you're allowed to do this, but when I try to recruit on a college campus, I'm escorted off the premises.
Yeah, it's weird. It must be a conspiracy.
I mean, I'm not talking about esports, but they will be on camera.
Well, thanks for that, Jason. No, I think it'll be cool though. I'm excited. I got to have that moment where it was like the same professors who didn't understand what esports was 10 years ago and looked at me weird are now the people asking me to come talk to their classes because they've started an esports track. Like, it's great.
I really hope this is some like elaborate ruse to like
just like
it's like a dinner for schmucks scenario where you show up and you got this PowerPoint presentation plan and everyone's just like, look at this idiot.
Come on.
I make thousands of dollars a year in esports entertainment. And everyone's like, all right.
It's a multimedia reporting class, I think.
The lack of a hyphen is really important, guys.
No, it's a broadcasting class, not a journalism class. So I need to show like, this is how you do things in the field. This is the kind of stuff we'll do on location. So I'm going to like go into the streams of some stuff and pull out some of the different things and different jobs, etc. So I'm going to do a whole thing once I figure that out after this podcast, and it'll be cool and it'll be neat, and everyone will call me Professor Hostler.
No one's going to do that.
Well,
like you're acting like you're going to give a TED talk. You're going to give a TEDx talk. There's a big difference. You can tell people you were, published by Forbes, but if it's Forbes China, no one's impressed. No one's going to call you professor.
That was a real thing for a while because Forbes let anybody blog on their website.
Yeah,
and it was published in Forbes, and it's just anyone can start a Forbes blog.
It's like I write for Medium.com.
Well, someone did ask me that one time. I wrote something on Medium about politics, and somebody really liked it. He was like, "How did you get on Medium? How did you get to write a piece on there?" And I was like, "I created a free account." And they're like, "Oh,
you didn't say for $500 I'll put in a good word for you with the people at Medium." And they're like, "Good news, they hired you."
I'm not a scumbag, so no. I would
That's
never.
That's not a scumbag move.
That's MTG Finance, man.
Yeah, not MTG. Just lying to people to get money from them. Okay.
You can still
MTG
put in a good
Illuminati.
word with them for Forbes.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it'll do anything.
If you,
I'll reach out to them on Twitter.
Writing for Medium, so
I'll reach out to Medium on Twitter.
Yeah.
And say, this person's very good. Please consider allowing them to write on your website.
It's only lying if you don't do that, and it's such slow effort on your end.
And then when they go sign up, they're like, "Wow, they must have enabled the sign up option for me."
Yes.
You know what? This is getting.
Now you're getting it.
I'm seeing ways that we can ethically walk around the fact that this is horribly unethical. No, this is good though. We can rules lawyer our way out of it. This is what I appreciate. This is why this is a value-oriented podcast.
You're not a college professor unless you're just like squeezing information out of people like wet rags and money.
I mean, Sure. I mean, that's
You
why
have to
these
you have
colleges.
to write your own book and then tell the kids to buy it.
Well, that's why all these colleges do esports programs now. You give a kid like $1,000 a semester to come play Overwatch, and they're like, "I'm an athlete. I'm an esport, mom. I did it." And then they
was the OG.
and then they go
scholarship athlete.
and then they just go in debt for $10,000 a semester, but they're getting that $1,000 sweet esports scholarship. All right, so let's move on and talk about some MTG finance news this week. News coming out of our sponsor, Channel Fireball. They are running. And now, look, we would have talked about this anyways before we go any further. Channel Fireball is our awesome sponsor. We would have talked about this. No
I don't know
However,
if it sounds worse to be like, we would have talked about this. Do we want to apologize for being sponsored?
No, we don't have to apologize.
That's what I'm saying. But what I'm saying,
podcasting.
what I'm trying to say is we would talk about this anyways because they're our sponsor and they're great. And we like to talk about them because of that. And we like to be sponsored. But what I'm saying is this is actually news that even were we not sponsored, we would talk about.
We said that about Squatty Potty. We absolutely have not talked about them since they stopped paying us. So
That's
as much
not
as
true.
we were
We've
like,
talked about how they
we would have
don't
talked
pay us
about
anymore.
Squatty Potty either way. Is the second the check stopped coming in, we haven't brought them up at all, except
And
to
by check,
ironically
we mean
shit on them.
singular. There was one check.
Well, it was a big check.
We've gotten so much equity out of that Squatty Potty sponsorship. You're bringing them up right now for the record.
Yeah.
That
for
is such
free.
a great story to tell people, man.
For free. They don't. Every time we tell that
Squatty
story,
Potty.
they get people like Squatty Potty. Tell me more.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, give me a random fact. I was once sponsored by Squatty Potty. Right? That's cool.
That's a good
Just
point.
tell people that you were so good at going to the bathroom that they sponsored you.
But you weren't, Corbin.
But yeah.
Is that why we lost our sponsorship? You're like, I can't poop, and they're like, oh Jesus, this looks really bad.
All right, so what Channel Fireball announced for March is a buy list bonanza, 35% store credit bonus and giveaways.
That name could. That's a work in progress name.
It's not a work in progress.
I don't
name.
think
They
it's
announced
pronounced
it.
bonanza.
Bonanza.
But I guess anyone who says bonanza is gonna say bonanza. I think maybe bonanza. It's like bonanza. What are you from? The north?
It's a
carpetbagger?
buy list bonanza. And here's the thing, though. This
Don't
is actually
buy list
cool.
to anybody else bonanza.
You buy
If
list
you're
to
gonna
Channel
buy list your
Fireball.
cards, you better buy list them to me. Hey, bonanza. Nobody remembers that TV show from the 1960s. Just me.
Pretty sure.
Remember
that's you and
Bonanza?
only you. As a
Okay,
matter of
Boomer
fact.
Danza.
That's the real theme song. That's the best part, but like no one's gonna know.
No,
And
we're not boomers.
And no, I only know about the Bonanza theme song from an episode of
it's hipster.
Cheers. Huh?
Oh my
that's
God. Yeah, that's
recent.
boomer too.
Remember Cheers from the 1980s? Remember?
No, Jason,
remember
I
Cheers?
don't. I wasn't. No, I don't.
Well,
Because we're not old.
Remember Frasier? Frasier from the 90s? Frasier spun
No.
off of Cheers.
No,
Remember
I really
Frasier
don't.
from the 90s?
No. You mean the guy from X-Men 2 or 3?
He was in both.
Okay.
He was in both X-Men's 2 and 3.
Okay, that guy.
Kelsey Grammer. Show some respect for Frasier.
Okay, my bad. Anyways, back to the buy list. This is actually pretty cool because this is something I'm not sure has been done by any of the other major online stores, at least that I'm aware of.
TCG Direct did it when they first launched, but it wasn't for buy list. It was like if you ordered
It
something.
was for employees.
Yeah.
Like we.
So here's the way it works. You buy list to Channel Fireball, you get a 35% store credit bonus, and there are giveaways associated with this. So every day, they're giving away 2 times to random people who submit a buy list of, I believe, at least $25. Let me make sure I get this right.
It is increments of $25. So
Yep,
if you submit
submit
a
a buy
$100
list.
buy list, you get 4 pips.
Right. Yep. Submit a buy list of $25 or more. You're in the daily drawing. Giving away a golden ticket to any Magic Fest, which means you get to do whatever you want at any Magic Fest. So every day, the daily prizes are giving away 2x your money on the buy list, a golden ticket good for any Magic Fest anywhere, a box of Ikoria. And here's the big thing. You get an entry for every $25 or more you submit. $1,000 store credit is one of the grand prizes going out at the end of the month of March. So it's a case of Masters 25, a case of iconic Masters, foiled Jace, foiled Gaia's Cradle, $1,000 store
A
credit.
foiled Jace Bellerin from Signature Spellbook? Hot damn.
That's the one.
That's juicy.
I'm not
but
gonna
also,
like. Yeah,
also
that's
a Mind
not great, but
Sculptor.
like, I wouldn't complain if they sent me that.
Right. Yeah, no kidding, right? But also, it's adjacent to Mind Sculptor. $1,000 store credit, play set of Underground Seas, or a Black Lotus. All for just submitting a buy list to Channel Fireball. So if you've got some cards kicking around, if you want to pick up some new stuff, if you want to trade out of your standard deck, your modern deck, or whatever to pick up some new cards, check out the 35% store credit bonus giveaways on Channel Fireball's buy list bonanza. And that's how you do an ad read, Jason. How you do it.
Why did it take you so long?
Yeah.
There's no... We'll never know. We'll never know why that segment sounds suspiciously put
Only
together
our
for many
$20
different
patrons and
takes.
up will understand why that was such a brief ad read.
Yep.
A dwindling number of them, in fact.
Yep.
Making the $20 tier all the more exclusive. Every time somebody drops down a tier or dies in a mysterious fire or
Okay.
Dies in the fire after they drop down a tier. They go to patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery and give us $20 a month, which is $4 or $5 an episode. And they know why that ad read took forever.
That's because they get to listen to the after hours. It's worth checking out if you're interested in that sort of thing.
yeah, and maybe if they go back up to the $20 tier, I'll let them hear their kid's voice. You know who you are.
Okay. Yep. That's just gonna roll right on through that one. It's time for Breaking Bulk.
That was
Gosh,
for
it could not-
DJ's estranged father.
We cannot do Breaking Bulk soon enough. Please, somebody break the bulk.
Breaking bulk time. Breaking bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, Breaking Bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking bulk. The end.
See, we've been podcasting for an hour and a half, but like they've only been listening for 10 minutes, so they don't
Yes.
understand.
I can't imagine why.
I've
Or
got
they
gonna
skipped
go-
ahead to the breaking bulk
Look,
because they didn't.
I'm gonna go first. This is enough of this. I've got a card. I think you guys will get this one. It's an uncommon that was originally printed in Battle for Zendikar and has since been reprinted multiple times in Commander decks.
Ooh, is it Hedron Archive?
It is Hedron Archive.
Wow, I'm so good at this.
Yeah, well, it was an easy one.
Yeah,
but
was that
here's the thing.
in the last
You're an easy
month,
one.
maybe?
Do what?
Was it someone's pick in the last month?
Nope.
Oh, I'm surprised that you didn't just like take 3 weeks off and then come back with the same Breaking Bulk.
This wasn't somebody's pick all year.
So
For the
2
record.
months.
I mean, okay. I don't know when it was a pick. I just know I have a sheet to go off of. But here's the thing. Hedron Archive.
What sheet is that?
Oh, well, that's
Corbin.
I'd be talking
Corbin.
about the
Corbin.
Breaking Bulk / Pick of the Week sheet that any of our patrons have access to, where you get to see all the picks of the week we have made going back years, along with a tracker telling you what their price was when we made it and what the price is now. So it's a
This
pretty
tracker and the tracker who tracks the tracker are both they both put in a lot of effort for us. One might say that they are tireless in keeping the spreadsheets running.
This
Yeah,
is why
that's
you're
great.
a guest. This is why we've never elevated you to full cast member status.
Anyways, Hedron Archive, despite the now 4 printings, because it was in Commander 2017, 18, and 19, is still $1. A solid $1. So that is honestly pretty impressive for a card that, I mean, look, it's not that it's amazing. It's just a solid card. Hedron Archive at 4 mana, adding money or sacrificing to draw cards, just kind of does a lot of different things. And
Wait,
it's
did you
one
say add money instead of add mana?
I don't know.
I swear you said add money.
Money is just card mana, okay? So
It's my Breaking Bulk. Your turn.
I got one that's got 3 printings.
Okay, what's the first?
Commander 2017, 2019, and originally printed in Fate Reforged.
Okay.
It is a blue uncommon.
2017 and 19.
Yeah, man.
Fate Reforged. Is it the one that says each player draws X or each player mills X?
No, sure isn't.
Reality Shift.
It is Reality Shift.
Yep.
It's over $1
that's-
despite 3 printings and an Ugin's Fate promo that looks identical but is $5.
Speaking of cards that have been picked in the last month,
No, what?
February 11th, 2020, Corbin Hostler picks Reality Shift from Fate Reforged.
No!
Because it's $1 despite multiple printings.
Got him.
Oh, no,
You don't even need to add a
fine,
counter to that,
fine.
but you still
Yeah.
got
Oh,
it.
no.
There's no got him counter this week, but
My
that was-
breaking
you
bulk
just-
is Mystic Remora because I bought a collection that had 103 of them and they're currently $6.
That doesn't count.
It was in bulk. How did I get 103
Oh, guys,
copies of
Cradle's
them?
breaking bulk, guys.
I found 2 guys
Bonanza.
cradles in bulk.
It was a bonanza of Mystic Remoras. It was more than 100.
Wow.
It was
That's
more
actually pretty
copies
sick,
than
though.
people who say they're specking on a card actually buy. So I
That's
did
one of the. That's actually. I'm happy for you though, because that's one of those great all-time. Hey, I found 100 Mystic Remoras in a box story, right? Like
That was someone that's like, this card's going to go up, and then it didn't, and then they went, and threw it in a box and sold it to
someone
me
who just
a year
really
later.
liked Mystic Remora 20 years ago.
Well, how about a
Somebody
blue
who
gate
was-
crash uncommon if we're not doing Reality Shift?
A blue gate crash uncommon.
Which was
Gotta try to
also
remember
in
that
Commander
set.
2015 and is now above $2.
Oh, rapid hybridization.
Rapid hybridization.
Oh, sure.
Get those in bulk a lot. And, you know, because it was, I guess it was in a pre-con? I don't know, man. Everyone just assumed the bottom fell out of rapid hybridization, but it's a...
Well, I think a lot of people don't know in the first place, right?
It
Not
could
a lot
be.
of people are familiar with Pongify these days, so rapid hybridization is just not a card a lot of people would even think about, right?
I mean, it's a blue Doomblade. It's pretty good. So
Yeah, card is very good. Which one of those 3 would you like me to put into the spreadsheet, Jason? I'll go with rapid hybridization.
yeah, let's not go with Reality Shift necessarily.
Okay.
Although the Ugin's Fate, I keep an eye out for Ugin's Fate because I set all my stuff from that set aside, and then I go back through it and look at the bottom. Like I flip the cards upside down.
Mhm.
That's a trick we don't talk about every episode, and we should. When you're sorting cards, flip them upside down so the expansion symbol is on the left if you're right-handed.
Assuming I was gonna say
Assuming you're right-handed, yeah.
So when you're flipping from your left to your right hand, you'll see the expansion symbol, so you'll know what set it's in, what its rarity, all that stuff. It's easier. So flip the cards
Very
upside
nice,
down.
yeah.
I flip them
Always
upside.
set sort then alphabetize. Stop color sorting your Magic cards.
Oh my god,
Yes,
yeah,
It
Yeah,
is
yeah.
useless. But what are you
yeah,
talking
so-
about, though, when you say Ugin's Fate, Jason? A lot of people don't even know about
Ugin's
that.
Fate was a special promo thing they did with different art, and they're non-foil, and for whatever reason, they just did a weird kind of thing for Fate Reforged, and like the reality
Kinda
shift,
like how
it
if-
zoomed
if
way
you're
out.
listening
And
to this-
what's that?
Sorry, if you're listening to this podcast 6 months from now and you're like, oh yeah, how they did the Secret Lairs for 3 months, then canceled them. It's kind of like that. They tried Fate Reforged, Ugin's Fate for one set, 1 single hour, and then they canceled it. So it's just like those 18 other things that they tried and then canceled.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, though, right?
Yeah,
For one,
it's
from
a
a from
thing.
business perspective.
And
But
like
also-
that Ugin's Fate, Ugin is
There's something
real
wrong
money.
with it when you still can't figure it out after 20 years.
No, you gotta
It was
try stuff.
whatever.
dude,
It was
come
it was
on.
like a special promo thing, and like there's nothing like the art isn't all that different. So I flipped the cards upside down, and it says like Ugin's Fate right after the
Yeah.
It's like 46 of 135 or whatever, 185 in the set. Ugin's Fate. So those cards are worth like quite a bit more. There's Ugin's Fate, like Evolving Wilds, and the Dragon, whatever
yeah, well,
makes the dragons cheaper.
Yeah, there's also
So there's
Dragon
a lot
Speaker
of-
Shaman, I believe.
Yeah,
Well,
there's a lot of playable.
Those are from Dragon Fury, Tarkir's Dragon Fury or something, which is a different version of Ugin's Fate, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, there's all kind of weirdness going on.
So
But there are a
for
lot
what
of
it's
playable
worth-
cards in that set that are Ugin's Fate, and they're worth 5 to 10 times as much as their
yeah.
counterparts. So it's
so
if
you
you
may
have
seen
if you
the
have
Ugin.
what's that?
The one people are most likely to have seen, right, is probably
yeah.
the Ugin itself.
The Ugin,
that
it's worth a
Tron player
ton.
has or
Yeah.
whatever.
Mhm.
But also in that sort of mini set where is Altar of the Brood, Grim Specs, a Reality Shift, Ghostfire Blade, Mastery of the Unseen, Jeskai Infiltrator, Wild Call, Jeering Instigator. Those are all $2 or more. I guess rounding it out technically, like Ruthless Ripper, Sultai Emissary, Arc Lightning are all $1 and up, and everything below that, there's a lot of just junk. It is definitely a weird little, like, whatever it is, like 30 card set or something. Very bizarre. It's like 26 cards. So
Yeah.
But
it is an interesting thing.
But
that
those
they
cards
did,
end
that's
up
for
in
sure.
bulk because people that like open them
Yeah,
didn't
they
know
don't
what they
know.
were, and they just
Yeah, they
ended
don't
up
know.
in bulk. And I pull stuff like that out all the time. So yeah, this is it was a worthwhile discussion.
They have
I think.
alt art. So if you ever see a Grim Harvest specs or an All Through the Brood or whatever, they look different.
Yes, slightly.
Slightly.
Yes.
To the point where if you hold them next to each other, you're like, but if like you don't remember what Grim Specs looks like.
Well, especially with like the reality shift one,
It's
because
just
the only
zoomed
difference
out.
in the art is there's an Ugin in the art or something,
Yeah.
or it's zoomed out or whatever.
he's doing the reality shifting.
Yeah,
like the
it's
guy
pretty-
in the
pretty
bubble
funny.
takes up the whole card on reality shift, but the Ugin's Fate one, he's in the
Yeah.
corner, and Ugin's like, I'm shifting your reality.
it's
I
pretty
mean,
neat.
the easy way for a lot of the commons and uncommons is like the Ugin's Fate has the stamp at the bottom, right?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, it does, and yeah, that's a good call. It's harder to tell with rares. You look on the bottom for what it says Ugin's Fate, but on the commons and uncommons, it does have the holofoil stamp. That's a good catch, DJ.
All right, DJ, what is your breaking bulk?
So this is the third week in a row that I'm doing a rare.
Okay.
It is
I'm
Pushing
not
the
sure you
boundaries,
know
I see.
how this game works.
the way the game works is that we pick cards that we find in bulk, and I do find these in bulk rares.
I find
so.
Gaia's Cradles in bulk. Come on.
Yeah, man.
All right,
Actually,
well,
I'm
if you
fine
guys,
with
if you
rares.
guys can guess this, then I will.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine with rares being.
We're not going to
like,
guess it. It's fine.
Occasionally being rares are harder to guess, though. Go ahead.
I have a rare from Invasion that was printed in Commander 2016 and Masters 25, and it has slowly crept up to over $2.
What color is it?
Multi.
The multicolored rare.
Decimate? No, that was
No.
Odyssey.
26
This is-
Invasion.
Invasion, C16, and
Void?
Masters 25.
Fire Ice.
That
It's Fire and Ice was not a rare, and it was from Apocalypse.
yeah.
Whatever. Man.
Other than that, it was a pretty good guess.
I agree.
It's not Void?
No.
Is it what's that card? The deal 3 damage. Look at
Fiery
cards.
Justice?
No. Prophetic Bolt.
Prophetic Bolt? Nope.
Was that Apocalypse? I don't know.
It's the easiest way to guess this is going from like multicolor rares from Masters 25. I mean, because that had fewer.
Yeah, that's a good call. I'm trying to remember everything.
Prophetic
with
Bolt
Invasion.
was Apocalypse, by the way.
Well, it was that era. Era.
That's what I said too.
Teferi's Moat.
That was not in Masters 25.
Well, I don't
You
know
got
what
the
was
color,
in this.
but you got the color right.
Oh, it was blue white. Okay.
Yep.
Invasion.
This is a card that got like a 1-2 punch reprint with C16 and then Masters 25, and everyone's like, "Man, this card is just dead. This is annoying."
Why
And then
was
got
it creeping up in the first place?
Hana Ship's Navigator was creeping up because
it was a creature. I don't know why I assumed it wasn't a creature. You did it. You got us. You picked a rare and you stumped us because every rare is.
Right.
You did it.
I mean, it was like 50 cents market price or 40 cents market price a couple years ago, and it has just slowly crept up to over $2 market price. And our buy list this past weekend was actually $2 because we sell out of this card. Our buy list being 95 MTG's buy list at MTG Reno was $2 in Hana Ship's Navigator just because the card sells out so frequently.
Okay.
And casual players just like putting together decks that include both artifacts and enchantments. So I mean,
Well,
for
also
people
this
who-
is an
list.
enchantment set, right? Just
for
recently.
people who don't know, yeah, that's true. Also, for people who don't know, Honda Ship's Navigator is it's a 1/2, 1 blue white card, legendary creature, human artificer, 1 blue white tap, return target artifact or enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. So it's just an incredibly fair value engine in blue and white that, nonetheless, like DJ said, and I think especially with Theros being out now, is just kind of an easy include in commander decks.
Yeah, but I mean, this is just a card that I still thought it was a bulk rare, and I was checking over and just trying to memorize a lot of our casual cards on our buy list for this weekend, and I was like, Hana, $2, I got a pile of those, and then
It's Hannah for sure, right?
It's definitely Hannah.
Hana.
Well, there was Hana cards in Kamigawa block, Hana. So
Yeah, but
get
this is
wrecked.
a different plane, and they can enunciate things differently.
You did it.
I don't know
Checkmate,
one way.
atheists.
I don't know one way or another. So sure. Sounds.
If you know
good to
someone
me.
named Hannah and you call her Hannah, she'd be like, "The fuck did you just call me?"
Yeah, but she
Hannah, that's
also
your
wouldn't
name. It's
spell-
Hannah. I'm
To
from
be
a
fair, she
different
wouldn't-
plane. We enunciate things differently on my plane, Hannah.
She would spell her name differently, though.
Would you
right?
like to give me a Han job, Hannah?
No, man, but Hannah Ship's Navigator doesn't have an H at the end, which it would definitely have if it was Hannah. So all I'm saying is, you could both be right. Not both of you could be right, but both of you could be right.
Well, the last time we thought both of us could be right, we both ended up eating half a gummy bear.
That's
so.
true. I liked that. I liked how that.
I didn't
worked
eat
out,
half a
really.
gummy bear because I'm not.
You
a
ate half a gummy bear, then you also ate another half of a gummy bear.
Sure. DJ's rules lawyering like crazy tonight. Got to appreciate that.
He's the Mitch Hedberg of eating gummy bears. I ate half a gummy bear. I ate a whole gummy bear, but I ate half a gummy bear too.
Got him. Is that maybe DJ?
Got him, question
Maybe
mark?
DJ thinks we're playing the got him game again. I don't know.
I'm always playing the got 'em game.
I see. Speaking of got him, did you know that the most expensive card in Core Set 2020 is now Foil Veil of Summer?
Are you just
Wow,
like?
I too read Reddit.
Are you just scrolling the Magic Finance subreddit?
Yeah, man. I thought that was look. The Magic Finance subreddit that Jason Alt started.
Don't that? You know what? I didn't anticipate it becoming a toilet quite this fast. All right.
You're like the guy that created 4chan. Like you come back 4 years later, you're like, what did I do?
Oh my god!
I am responsible
I'm the
for all
moot of
the corrupt-
MTG Finance. What is wrong with me?
I will say this while we're on the topic. I know you guys. Look, I get most of the complaints about Reddit in general. The finance subreddit has both its good and its bad, just like Reddit, just like the internet, just like life. So if you can't learn to appreciate the good stuff, like someone noting that Full Veil of Summer is the most expensive card in Core Set 2020, and this has only also happened with Foil Cabal Coffers from Torment, Foil Days from Nemesis, Force of Will from Alliances, and Library of Alexandria from Arabian Nights. Look, you just got to appreciate the good information brought to you by Pew Quoth Kurfsk. Anyways, I just like to share these nuggets of knowledge. This is my thing now, right? So here's the thing. I got this from watching PTI on ESPN. Every week, they start off with a random bit of information, and it's always fun. So that's what I'm trying to bring to us here. Speaking of idiots, the coronavirus. It exists. It affects Magic. It might affect Magic near you. So somehow we have to talk about this?
Yeah, like, so honestly, the biggest way that you can contract this is most Magic LGS stores are, most Magic LGSs are, like, next to a Chinese food place, so don't eat Chinese food or else you'll get the...
No, don't get Mexican food because they serve Corona there.
Both of them. I mean, to be safe, just stay away from both.
The game store?
Yeah. You guys have
Was that
secret
the
layer.
advice?
They don't have secret layer, but they do have coronavirus.
I mean, look, I want to make sure we talk about this in the right light because it is becoming relevant to Magic. I believe one Magic Fest Turin has already been canceled, and now I've been told that France has a rule that you cannot have gatherings of 5,000 or more people. So, yeah, it's a real thing. So we don't know if that's going to affect any of them in Canada. In France. We don't know if any of the events over here could be affected in the United States. But it's, in the United States, everyone's kind of memeing about coronavirus because that's what the internet does. But, it's shut down like large parts of Italy. Obviously, it's completely shut down large parts of Asia. Iran, places in the Middle East, China, Japan is completely locked down.
The mid-season invitational for League of Legends, I believe, is postponed because it was supposed to be in China.
Yeah, and Hearthstone moved a Masters tournament to LA that was supposed to be in Indonesia. So
What?
this is
California is the first state to have community spread.
I agree, but that's where all these companies are based out of, right? So what are they going to do?
Well,
so now
our former
the
cast member
coronavirus,
Marcel works in the Bay Area doing tech conferences and stuff like that, and his work's been impacted too. So
they canceled GDC or postponed GDC.
Yep,
that's massive. There have been
what is GDC?
The Game Developers Conference.
Oh.
It's just like this giant show every year that will draw, I don't know, many thousands of people, all from companies. It's the professional show in the industry, and it's a big deal for a lot of the companies in Magic, and that has been postponed now. There's been spread up through Oregon and cases in Washington as well. They're worried that it's spreading around Seattle, which you might be familiar with as the place where Wizards of the Coast offices are located. So, we don't know what precautions they are taking as a company, but all of which is to say, this is a long-winded way of saying this is actually not just real world and Magic being in separate sort of universes. This is actually, the Magic events in the future could be affected by it. Who knows? We might see if this gets worse, right? Players tours postponed, or I don't know. It's hard to say when the offices of the main company are in a place affected by the outbreak and you're getting countries shutting down events, much less companies shutting down events. It's going to affect the economy as well, even though, banks across the world are sort of taking steps to try to mitigate its impact. That also affects Magic. That'll affect your LGS. All of these things kind of trickle down, and it's not something I think that we've ever seen affect Magic to this point, at least that I recall. So it's very interesting to watch it all play out, but I guess it's something to keep on your radar. If you're looking at attending a Magic Fest in the next few months, maybe like get a money back guarantee on your Airbnb or something. We don't know what's going to happen. And everyone is trying to figure it out all at the same time. So I don't think anyone should, I'm not a health official, but no one should be like freaking out or overly concerned or anything, but keep it in mind when you're making your Magic plans over the next few months that they might be impacted by it. It's certainly not something I thought. This is why this podcast is interesting sometimes, because if we were just a Magic podcast, talking Commander or whatever else, there'd be no reason to talk about Corona almost ever. But because we're a Magic Finance podcast and this actually all does trickle down,
lifestyle podcast.
There you go. Yeah. It's just interesting that the real world affecting sort of the insular world of Magic and Magic Finance even and singles and all that stuff is. It's an interesting development. I can't say I would have thought about, 8 years ago when we started the podcast or whatever. So try not to die, I guess is the advice. Anyways, that was another long after hours. You can get it patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery. Anyways, though,
where you should go
now,
because people are going to patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery and canceling.
I don't think people are canceling. I think they just fall off at the end of the month and not everyone renews. All I'm saying is I jumped into a freezing cold pool for you patrons, and then we lost a bunch of patrons. Come on.
Yeah, because they watched the video.
I don't think that was it. Since
I don't even think you got
4
wet.
months to release the video.
I don't even think you got wet. That's how little time you spent in that pool.
Yeah, okay. But that's how water works, don't you know? Anyway, so back to Magic. Next week, there will be a ban and restricted announcement. I'm going to go bold here. I'm going to predict that they're going to unban everything in Modern.
Everything that's banned?
What does
currently?
everything mean?
Everything.
Okay, that's a very bold prediction.
Everything.
That's a very bold prediction. Hey, so
it's just what they did with Pioneer,
Corbin,
right?
I believe that when bold claims like this are thrown down, spicy things are supposed to come on the line.
Okay, well, I need odds because I'm going pretty far out there on this one.
Okay.
I mean,
well, apparently partial peanuts are a
this.
thing because DJ introduced the concept of eating part of it. I want you to do that spicy.
Gavin
peanut.
introduced that concept.
I
Sir.
I would not do part.
Well, okay.
I'm just trying to have a bold prediction here, okay?
Well,
I'm just saying they're
how
going to
about
take the Pioneer
bold
approach
mesquite
to
flavor
Modern.
of a ghost pepper peanut right in your mouth?
I don't like peanuts.
That's all the more reason.
Yeah,
I'm not betting a ghost pepper peanut on this. I'm just trying to make a fun prediction.
That's not fun. You're being too hyperbolic, man. People need to take us seriously as a podcast.
That's a real thing they could do. Modern is a disaster. It's a disaster even after they keep banning cards.
Yeah, because they printed a whole set full of cards that ruined it as a format.
They ruined they ruined it with 3 different sets. Like,
That's
look,
fair.
I guess I don't think they're going to actually do that. I'm just saying that at some point you gotta do something for Modern, right? Like, the format's just bad.
I mean,
So do you think they're going to ban something in Pioneer or no?
What they're probably actually going to do is ban Lotus Breach or Dig Through Time.
Yeah.
Like, you may as well ban Breach because it's just going to have to be banned. Same with Dig Through Time. Like, from what I understand, Dimir Inverter is the best deck in Pioneer, not actually Lotus Breach. Lotus Breach is insane, but when everyone is playing, spoilers, my pick of the week, Damping Sphere to beat it, it's a reasonable deck. But Dimir Inverter is probably the best Dig Through Time deck in the format because not only does it, get to cast the card Dig Through Time, which is insane, it also allows them to set up the perfect graveyard. It's basically like making a little doomsday pile for themselves when they cast their Inverter. And it leads to some good gameplay, but it's just clear that Dig Through Time is not going to be in the format 3 years from now. So you may as well just pull the Band-Aid off and ban it. The question is whether they go further than that and ban Lotus Breach or Inverter itself or Thassa's Oracle or what have you, or if they take the route where they just ban Dig Through Time to try to weaken things. That's my actual prediction is that Dig Through Time gets banned, but I don't know. I mean, I know that the idea of unbanning everything in Modern was tossed about by a lot of people after the approach seemed to work pretty well in Pioneer, where they opened Pioneer and said, do whatever you want. And people did, and they've kind of built the format out from there. I think that's a lot better than starting with an arbitrary ban list like Modern did. So, especially since everything that top 8 of the original Pro Tour ended up getting banned at one point or another anyway. So, I would like to see that approach with Modern.
So what can you do
it'd be crazy.
to potentially profit from this situation then?
Okay, so, yeah, we want to talk about this. If you think they're going to ban a card or you think they're going to unban everything in Modern, let's just kind of talking in general, I guess, how you should prepare for, when you have an announcement. So, Jason, DJ, what are some of the things you would recommend people doing if they want to move on this?
Now, a technique that goes back to like way early days of MTG Finance when we knew about announcements was you think about all the stuff that you think could potentially get unbanned, and you're ready. You're hitting F5 on the webpage. You got the announcement up and you're just waiting to see what they unban. But instead of like running to a website and filling up your shopping cart full of cards as soon as the announcement's made and competing with everybody else, what you want to do is you want to think about all the stuff that could potentially get unbanned. Just make a big list of it all and put it all in a shopping cart on a website. But don't click checkout. Just get ready to there's one more button press to check out. And when you finally find out what is being unbanned, you go into the cart and delete everything that is not that stuff, and then you check out so everyone else is like, oh, I should go blah blah blah. You're not going to be competing with them because your order is going to be the first one in because you had the shopping cart ready. I don't like to do stuff like that anymore, but like if you plan on buying reactively, I think what you can do is prepare yourself by putting all the stuff you think is a potential unban in a shopping cart and then being ready to check out rather than fighting with everybody else. So just planning ahead a little bit is a good way to get a jump on everyone.
All right, I'm going to take that one step further because here's the only flaw. You lose time when you have to remove things from your cart. What you need are 10 different incognito browsers where you're logged in on each one with a cart of each individual card. Then you check out.
I mean,
that way you don't have to waste time removing them all.
You could
Next level, baby.
You could do
Sure.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
a lot of work.
And you got to pick a site, a reputable site.
Like
That's not gonna,
channelfireball.com.
I mean, Channel Fireball's not going to cancel your order. TCG Player, you're dealing with individual sellers, but someplace like Channel Fireball is not going to screw you over like that, per se. Because I think their reputation means more to them than like the couple of bucks they'd get like screwing you over and relisting the card.
one alternative thing you can do is, depending on the card that gets banned or unbanned, is you can check the other products that card has been in. Because the first copies to disappear will be the ones that were just in the regular booster packs, right? Like when Bloodbraid Elf gotten banned in Modern, when Jace the Mind Sculptor gotten banned, people went for those worldwide copies, the Alara Reborn copies, the FNM promos, whatever. But like Jace was also in a From the Vault, and Bloodbraid Elf was in a Plane Chase deck that people don't really think about, or a Plane Chase anthology, or like like when Chainer's Edict spiked from Pauper use and it was $10, I just went and bought a bunch of like the Torment precon that comes in the little cardboard box and made a bunch of money on those. So I mean, there's a lot of just like weird ancillary products that even if they don't come with their own set symbol, like things like challenger decks or event decks, just being aware of what alternative products something came in is useful for when people are very rapidly decreasing the stock of available products in the market, because the event decks and whatnot are much slower to move. So you can usually just free roll the rest of the product or cards in that pre-constructed deck.
There was an event deck that was like $120 at some point because it had 2 birthing pods and a verdant catacombs in it.
Yeah. Back in the day. Was it really 2 pods?
2 pods and a catacombs. It was nuts.
Wow. The catacombs was sick, yeah.
There's a Mono Black Vampires one from like M12 that had a Verdant Catacombs in it too, and a Bloodghast, I think.
Yeah. So here's a nice piece of throwback Magic history for anybody. If you weren't playing back in Standard when Stoneforge Mystic was banned, it was pretty awkward timing because they banned Stoneforge Mystic. However, they also had just printed a Challenger deck with Stoneforge Mystic in it. So they created this rule where Stoneforge Mystic was banned unless you were playing the exact 75 that came in the Challenger deck. Then you could play your Stoneforge Mystic.
But it didn't
that way
have
somebody could still
it didn't
buy
have
it
a
off the
batter
shelf
skull.
and
It
play.
had
No, you could get like Sovok Lifestaff or like
it was the
Sword
the
of
thing
Body
that
in mind, maybe?
No, it didn't even have swords.
It was that thing that was like it had powered toughness equal to the number of creatures in your graveyard. It was like Bone Horde or something.
Yeah.
Bone Horde. So that was So you had a couple people did the challenge, right? You play the Stoneforge Mystic Challenger deck 75, and look, they've actually been really good with the Challenger decks over the past couple years that they've started redoing them. They look very good.
That Challenger deck sounds like a challenge. Like, hey guys, welcome to the channel. We're playing today's 75 Stoneforge challenge for YouTube. It's like the Ice Bucket Challenge, but with Stoneforge Mystics.
It was a thing. So that's just a nice, fun piece of history. While we're on the topic, though, of Challenger decks, something to notice with these decks is last year when they did the Challenger decks, we got a bunch of Amonkhet reprints in it, right? The set was about to rotate, and they reprinted Hazoret and Approach of the Second Sun and all these other high-value cards, or not necessarily high-value. Some of them certainly were, but I think there was a Chandra in there too, right? But they did all of this with cards that were about to rotate. You know, Amonkhet 3 to 6 months before it rotated, that sort of thing. It's worth noting that with the most recent run of Challenger decks, and I thought that was a good decision that they made then, but with the most recent run, they're just throwing Embercleaves in them, right? That set was 3 months ago. That set's still on shelves, and they're reprinting stuff. Excuse me. So I liked it before because it kind of
Eldraine like 6 months ago or something. It was October. I guess 4 or 5.
Yeah, I mean, depending on how you want to do it, right? It's like middle of October, and these have been out. I mean, they announced them, I don't know, 3 weeks ago or whatever now. But it's just interesting. I thought before it was good because you protected people who spent money on the cards up front by not making them worth less until way later when they were probably already worth less. But now, though, it's worth noting that it helps make the decks better, clearly, because you're not sort of restricting yourself. But having newer cards in them, Embercleave was going up in price, and now it's probably going back down, right? So that there was nothing going up in price when they reprinted Hazoret. So I think that's just a little phenomenon worth taking note of. Not a big deal, obviously, with the Challenger decks. It's just something, another data point to keep in mind when it comes to standard releases, that you no longer seem to have a grace period there, which I think is ultimately good, probably fine for the game, good for the game, perhaps even, but maybe bad for you if you're trying to play the standard spec game, which, you know, sometimes doesn't work out. But hey, if you were in on like Embercleaves when they bottomed out, it would have turned out pretty well for you. So Yeah, just something to keep in mind moving forward. All right, you all ready for some pick of the week action?
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
Sure.
POTW.
I'll go first. I spoiled it earlier, but Damping Sphere has climbed from $1.50 to $2.50. And I think it's only going to keep going up. I think this is, barring, I guess we'll see what happens with the ban announcement. But if it's just something like Dig Through Time getting banned, Dominaria cards like Damping Sphere could still keep going up, I think, because that set's getting older. That set's very popular, so it's going to kind of help pull the value down in terms of a lot being open, but up in the long term as people want stuff from it. But Damping Sphere is a really, really key sideboard card. For those who don't remember, it's 2-mana artifact. Whenever a land taps for 2 or more mana, it produces colorless instead.
One colorless.
And it doesn't, yes, and it makes 1 colorless only. And then each spell a player casts costs 1 more to cast for each other spell they cast that turn. So it's sort of every time you add to your storm count, you have to pay 1 more mana. So this is a really neat sideboard card in Modern because it's good against, it's good. It works against Tron, etc., but it's also good against Storm. It was sort of the first Tron Storm hate in one card, but now it's absolutely key in Pioneer with the Lotus Breach deck, the Lotus Field that's hexproof land that taps for 3. So
it still works the same, like multiple angles too, in terms of like it just shuts down Primeval Titan. Like that's one of the most egregious decks in Modern's power level right now. Is like you just pump out Primeval Titans on turn 2 or 3, and this just
it stops the castle.
It stops castles. It stops what do you call them? The Karoo lands, the Simic bounce lands.
The bounce lands. Yep. And then same reason in Pioneer, it's basically the difference is in Modern you have lots of options if you want to take on those things, right? You can Blood Moon, Alpine Moon, not damping, whatever the other one is, the other sphere, damping matrix, I guess. There's just lots of options, but in Pioneer,
you mean Trinisphere?
No, I don't. I mean damping matrix. But
Isn't that like artifacts and creatures can't use activated abilities?
Yeah, it's the only one that stops Urza.
Oh, sure.
So, but the point is, there's lots of sideboard cards like this, but in Pioneer, it's basically you're just playing Damping Sphere. It's the only card that there really is that interacts with Lotus Field. Like, that's just a stupid hexproof. Who knew hexproof was still a bad mechanic when you put it on lands? So it's been climbing. I think it's going to continue to climb. Look, I think the deck still is alive and well if Dig Through Time gets banned, is at least alive. So that probably wouldn't affect if they outright ban Lotus Breach, and that would make Damping Sphere not as good. Although it's worth noting, Lotus Field was a deck before Lotus Breach, or before before the Breach.
Yeah, but that was
Breach.
It
was worse, but it was still a deck.
Ridiculous Twiddle deck.
Yeah, it was just Twiddle Storm. But it was a deck, right? So Damping Sphere is still going to have some amount of value, even if they were to ban Underworld Breach. So anyways, I like it just long term. It's just a great piece of sideboard technology. It's somewhat tricky to reprint. It's really easy for them to reprint creatures or beneficial effects or whatever, but prison effects much less likely to get reprinted.
This card more than likely sees a reprint eventually in like a challenger deck.
Of course. It's definitely, a challenger deck maybe. It's definitely, look, everything's at this point in time, everything's going to get reprinted at some point, but we had a long time of $4 or $5 Relic of Regendas in Modern after several reprints. So I think Damping Sphere could kind of follow the same trajectory for Pioneer.
Sure.
All right, what do you guys got?
I have the 10th most played multicolor instant. Wind Grace's Judgment.
Oh, I love that card.
It's kind of like a charm.
Yeah, it's a pretty good card, and
I play that in Carador.
And it's only available on a pre-con. I think the reprint risk is pretty low. I think the pre-con is getting pretty expensive. So there's not like no one's busting pre-cons open to get these. I think this is a $5 card at minimum, just waiting to happen. So if you can get these at $2, I think you're a fool not to.
C18, 5 mana, 3 black and a green instant for any number of opponents. Destroy target non-land permanent they control. Yeah, this card is so good. You just get so many problematic permanents off the board, and you can do it whenever you need to.
Yeah, this card's quite
good. I think this is interesting. The card's actually gone down in price since it was printed, But I think Jason's right. I mean, this card is nuts. So I like this pick a lot.
Seems good.
What do you got, DJ?
So this is a pick that I have had in my box for several years now, and it's just one of those cards that I like to bring up again every time a banned and restricted list comes out or is announced. Mind Twist, I think, does not deserve to be on the Legacy ban list compared to a lot of the other egregious things you can do in that format. People are like, but you can dark writ, Mind Twist them on turn one. I'm like, yeah, you can ad nauseum too. That's like
you just dark writ, Mind Twisted yourself. Discard 3
no
cards
kidding.
and make them discard 5. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't think that is super high power level of the format. It's just a card that I think if they ever wanted to just like toss a bone to Legacy players, there are 2 cards that I think could be unbanned without significant repercussions. I am not a Legacy expert. I have not done egregious amounts of testing, but Mind Twist is my pick of the week. And I also don't think that, like, if you were looking to buy an Earthcraft for EDH, I think any time that it's banned is better than any time it's not banned.
Sure.
Because that's another card that just sits in the Legacy ban list and has for a decade or so.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a $40 card or so that if Wizards is like, just let them play with Earthcraft or whatever, it's not as bad as getting Underworld breached on turn 2 every game. Or then Earthcraft is now $80 and you're not going to get one for EDH. So, I mean,
yeah, that's
Mind
true.
Twist is
People
like
are just like,
easy.
I guess I'm playing Cryptolith right now.
Yeah, exactly. Like Mind Twist is just like a $3 card. You can usually get HP revised ones as throw-ins and trades or whatever. But the second this gets unbanned, even if it doesn't do anything, regardless of the amount of impact it has, it'll be on TCG for $11 for 24 hours and you can make a lot of money.
Well, and it's like there's not more because look what happened to land tax. I mean, land tax is good in EDH, but it was as good in EDH before it got unbanned in Legacy, where it made like no impact.
Right,
and then the card was expensive forever.
I mean, the most, I think, relatable example for current events would be Brain Freeze, where, like, Brain Freeze spiked from $1 to $9 overnight because of Underworld Breach, and I sold probably 30 Brain Freezes at $9 a piece, and it's hard to imagine, like, that many Legacy players just suddenly deciding to play Underworld Breach in Legacy, and being willing to pay $36 for a playset, so I have to imagine just some of those I'm selling to somebody who has this otherworldly dream that they'll be able to resell for 15 or something, but I don't really care. I'd rather just have the Mind Twists for $1 and then list them for $8.99 on the day of.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, anything else you guys want to touch on before we get out of here this week?
Nope.
Okay.
I don't know how long this episode's going to be, but
one thing we can mention before we go, it seems like Signature Spellbook Chandra has been spoiled, according to the interwebs.
Spoiled or previewed?
Threatened.
Threatened. I believe it was spoiled. It was like, follow with me here. This is the internet sleuthing.
That means Liliana could be next, and I'm actually...
Well, but listen, here's the thing. Apparently on the WPN website, the Wizards Play Network website, any URL that does not exist redirects you back to the homepage. And any URL of something that does exist, but is set to private or whatever, it isn't live yet, gives you like a 404 error. So Signature Spellbook Liliana and whatever else, things that don't exist, they redirect you back to the homepage. And Signature Spellbook Chandra gives you like a 404 or whatever.
Interesting.
It is some internet sleuthing to find out whatever 12 hours in advance. Like, this will probably just be announced by the time the podcast comes out. But if not, allegedly, maybe you'll get a Signature Spellbook Chandra.
That's like
they print all 35 Chandras? Like, is that how that works?
That's the thing, is that, like, the 2 spellbooks we've seen so far, they've taken the most original version of the Planeswalker in Jace Bellerin and Gideon Jura, and Chandra and Alar is just one of the worst Planeswalkers ever printed, and that's saying a lot.
It got played at the time. There were a couple decks that played it at the time.
That still
it was a big
one
removal.
of the worst Planeswalkers ever printed. Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
So it's hard to imagine like a world where that spellbook sees.
It should be Torch of Defiance, right?
But that they would have to break a trend.
Sure, a trend of 2, which is probably not a trend, but yes.
And like they could salvage the value through other red commander staples, which is sort of like a crickets chirping kind of sound.
Red Elemental Blast.
But like for value wise, blue Elemental Blast in the Jace one is worthless.
Well, Red Elemental Blast is the more heavily played one.
No, that's Pyroblast. That is the good one.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, sure.
If you listened to the cast last week, you'd know that.
Whatever. Pyroblast.
Because Red Elemental Blast isn't even like a real pick because it doesn't see play because Pyroblast is strictly better.
Pyroblast then, and it is a pick. I just buy-listed one, but anyways, sure. Pyroblast instead of Red Elemental Blast.
Your list of I mean like the most powerful card I can think of for a Chandra spellbook is like Fiery Confluence because that card doesn't exist in foil yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was just trying to think of like red EDH cards, and I guess I don't know how much they need to be tied into Chandra. Like, could you just put Insurrection in there?
That's not like a Chandra-esque card.
So yeah, they don't do that, right? It would have to be, or don't they just? Can't they just put the art?
I mean,
on
how?
It, like,
but it has to be something you can picture Chandra doing.
Rest in peace, though, right?
Like it has to be something you can relate the art to Chandra on.
They just did new art.
Yeah.
Right, but like, how is Chandra in the lore? Like, I guess you could picture her like insurrectioning the Kaladesh Revolution or something like that. That's like
you can do whatever you
a loose tie-in.
Weren't her parents revolutionaries?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess you could see that.
All right, so there you go, everybody. This is Brainstorm Brewery. Thank you for listening. If you want to know what all the pauses were, go check out the after hours. We at patreon.com/brainstorm brewery. Either way, thank you for listening. We'll see you next week.
Give us $1 at patreon.com/brainstorm brewery. Join the Discord.